started here. Hey, thank you everyone for coming out to the HFMA coffee hour. This is a chance to present a variety of topics that you hopefully find interesting. And I think we have an interesting one today because I think the attendance was basically a sellout here. We're at capacity. We have Mark Ritchie, branch chief with DBET, and he's going to be our first speaker, talking about some interesting programs as far as helping us export some products and whatnot, and of course everything else that you guys do. Thank you so much for your support.
Okay, thank you. Also, I'd like to introduce Jamie Love, my colleague at DBET, who's actually going to help with this. I thought I'd start out just with one program that we have. I think a lot of you already know about, but if you're a manufacturer, you'd be very appropriate for the program, the Enterprise Zone program. Do we have any Enterprise Zone folks here? Yeah, it's basically, there are about 6 Enterprise Zones in each county. And if you're in a certain business activity like manufacturing or wholesaling, and a number of other activities, and you're in one of those zones, you, in exchange for creating jobs, you can actually get tax credits and tax waivers and things like that. So you get a lot of tax incentives. So it's really money on the table if you're a manufacturer and you're in one of the enterprise zones. So I would like to maybe just pass these around. If people have questions on the enterprise zones, how about just let me know and we might talk about that in a little more detail. I think the real kind of reason we're coming in today was just to talk about some of our upcoming programs. The first program is called High Step, which is the Hawaii State Trade and Export Promotion Program, which is an SBA grant that we received, and it's almost $1 million that we have, including a small state match, that we have to assist Hawaii companies that are going into foreign markets and to help them with their export development plans. So there's 3 parts of High Step, which we're rolling out now. The first one is what we've done traditionally is where we do Hawaii pavilions. And that's where we take a large group of companies to a trade show, and we organize all the booths and stuff, and each company gets a 10 by 10 or half of that, and we basically subsidize the cost or actually pay for the cost outright of the trade show booths and stuff. And Jamie has led a number of those and organized a number of those in Hawaii pavilions.
Thank you.
For instance, and the Department of Ag does similar things as well. So food manufacturers, you kind of cross over both Department of Ag and DBET, but we do work together. I know we actually have a lot of food manufacturers go into such things like the Tokyo International Gift Fair and some other events. We're also doing bio this year in June, which is we'll have a small Hawaii pavilion that's in San Francisco this year. So that's one part of the High Step program we're paying for. The second part is training, and that's to train Hawaii companies that are looking at starting an export program. You're trying to get your product or service or technology outside the state. And what it'll be is a probably 2 to 3 month program where you will work with individual counselors, and then you would have at the end of that a very specialized plan or the strategy that you can execute on to develop an export market. And we kind of say export market is looking outside of Hawaii for the most part. So that's something we're going to be starting in January, and on our website we have some flyers and stuff we can start handing out. And then the third thing, which is what we're really pressing now, is the part of High Step, is because we have these Hawaii pavilions, we only do maybe 6 of them or 8 of them a year, and they're in very specific sectors where we have a lot of companies, so we can take 40 companies into the trade show. But we understand there's a lot of Hawaii companies that we don't have a large number of them, but we still would like to be able to help them. So what that program is individual assistance for Hawaii companies to develop their markets outside of Hawaii. And what we essentially do is a very short application process. is we ask for your export development plan, like a 1 or 2 pager. In other words, you plot this out. You know what market you're going into. You're going to Japan. This is how you want to develop it. This is the trade show you need to go into. Or it could just be meetings with buyers. Like you're going to go to Tokyo for 3 days, 4 days, and meet with 5 to 10 buyers or something. And then what we'll do is we will pay up to $6,000 of that cost. And it's reimbursable given you give us your receipts when you get back. And that can pay for trade show space, it'll pay for flights, and then also accommodation. You could also use this program called a high-step AP or assistance program. You could also use it for the Gold Key service that the commercial service does. And you could use it for, Jamie, what are the other, we got a couple of other things. Localization things, if you went ready to convert your website to Japanese, we could pay up to $3,000 of that. The only match we're asking for the company is for 25%. So it's a great deal. And there's money available. We sort of thought we'd be able to get an extension from the Small Business Administration for this program. So we had money left over, we just kind of go into the next year. They said no. So we have money to deploy, and we've tried to make it even easier to sort of get the money. We were initially saying you could only use the program once a year for one trip or one trade show. Now you could actually apply multiple times. So if you were going to go to Korea, go to Seoul and do a trade show in March, but then in June you were going to another show in Tokyo or in Germany or something, you could actually apply both times. And we sort of look at that. Each time it would only be a 25% match. And again, in terms of the total cost of it, it's like your trade show space, or if you're just going to go meet with 5 buyers or potential business partners, that type of thing, you sort of write all that down. You have a little budget that you look at, and then we have a very fast kind of approval process, so that you know that you can go ahead and take that trip, and you bring back the receipts, you give us the receipts, and then we'll reimburse you and make sure that you're doing the 25% match.
Mark, I'm sorry, you might have said it. Is this only for foreign markets, or does that count for domestic outside of Hawaii as well?
Yes, I learned it deliberately. If you go, a lot of trade shows and things are on like the St. Louis mainland are international shows. Yeah. So there are international buyers there and that type of thing. So we would be, if you said you wanted to take a 10 by 10 booth at a show, let's say an industrial bio show or something, you want to take out a 10 by 10 booth, we know that there's a lot of international buyers there. And as long as you sort of gave us some confidence that you're going to be meeting with a lot of buyers and you will be interacting with them, even though it's in the U.S., we could actually do that.
We do ask for metrics because we are required to report to SBA. We will ask, of the people that you met, how many were domestic, how many were international. But when we ask for sales figures, we don't break it down. Just to make it known. And then also, again, we have to report that to SBA, but we do not report individual company results. We put it all together for our report, so you can have confidence that that's.
Right. So we aggregate things, and usually we look for like immediately or after the show. Did you actually? I mean, some shows you actually called lead paper. I mean, you actually take orders, so you can very easily tell it. A lot of other shows, it's just all the contacts you made, and so we're sort of asking you like a year out, what do you think this will result in terms of revenue for you?
Yeah, Mark, you said you don't have as much time. You can't roll it over the other year. Are you talking about June? You have until the end of June? What's
it's the
year?
Federal fiscal. So basically, you gotta do your show or whatever you're doing by the end of September.
Oh, end of September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they always give other. I mean, I think people were sort of accustomed to getting these no-cost extensions. But the thing is that we just found out in the fall that we got the grant, so that's why we're scrambling and we're marketing this very heavily because we want companies to be able to take advantage of it. And we hope to have what we're calling a solicitation. Officially, because of procurement, we're calling it an RFP. So but don't get scared. It's not like some overly involved thing. It's you just do a 2-pager and you answer some questions like where you're at in terms of foreign markets, that type of thing. And then we just have a committee of 3 people that'll look at it. They might all ask some questions and things, but very quickly kind of do an approval. Or if there's something they want to talk to you about in more detail because doesn't fit the program, then we'll discuss that with you. So we hope to have all that up in January. We're just now meeting with procurement on Monday to get the final sign off, and hopefully we can post the stuff at the beginning of December so you can start looking at it, and then we can start taking applications or proposals to this RFP in January. Do some of you have, just going to ask questions here, do some of you have particular trade shows you would like to go into, or certain regions of the world where you're developing markets where you could be meeting with a lot of people? We want you to have multiple meetings. We don't want to fly somebody all the way to New York for a meeting, even if it's really important. We kind of want you to have 5 to 8 meetings, something like that. If we were to do that. But for a trade show, you can take out a 10 by 10, and then you could use this money for all the shipping and everything sort of associated with that trade show, and accommodation and plane flights, up to $6,000. So it's a good program, and it's really meant to try to work with companies where we don't go out and do these Hawaii pavilions and group events, group missions, that type of thing.
But if it is a group event and a mission, we could still apply.
Yes, yeah, and that's a good point. And because we're not going to be able to have an extension and that sort of thing, we are also looking for maybe different chambers of commerce, associations that might want to organize a group to go to a particular market where they would arrange business meetings and things, and then we could sort of subsidize each company on something like that.
Are you talking about specifically, like if you're going to one of the pavilions?
Specifically maybe FoodX, and
okay.
we just found out that we might be trying to organize one for this FabX show. I'm not too familiar with it, but it's kind of a cafe show in April.
Yeah, Sharon's her Department of Ag, she's looking at those right now.
Looking at those.
And I know you sort of talked about the FoodX mission,
Yep.
because you guys can't get booth space, but you might want to go there as a mission and actually arrange meetings and that type of thing. And I think you sort of described a little bit of the program.
Yep.
And that would be something we really look at, thinking, yes, that's a good use of this grant from the SBA. The only thing is, I know when you were describing some things, I think you had one day, it was more kind of orientation, kind of cultural, looking at that kind of stuff. We would want, I mean, we're going to pay for those nights in a hotel and everything on the nights that you're actually doing your business meetings and stuff.
So it can be broken up like that.
It can be broken up like that. You can say, okay, we won't pay for this night.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, awesome.
But we really want you to have those business meetings, because this is really about being able to report back to SBA, and because we'd like to have this program keep going. Okay, right now we're using SBA grant, but if we have to find other funding sources for it, if this is a successful program and people actually coming out, that's really incentivizing companies and helping them make that decision about, do I go on this business trip or to go on that trade show or not, or we were a company short of money, can we help push things, make a difference, sort of a bridge difference, then then we might try to continue the program. So we're really looking for success metrics. So think about different things you might want to do, and look at your own budgets. Again, it's a 25% match. That includes accommodation, hotels, flights, and then the trade show rentals and everything associated with the trade show.
So if we have technology developed here but manufactured in China, for example, and we are selling the product nationally and want to go to these various trade shows, is that applicable?
There is a formula. We basically in the solicitation we say product companies or service companies. We do actually really want to help technology-based companies. There is a formula in there if it's a tangible product for how to determine Hawaii content, because we're sort of giving preference to companies that have 51% Hawaii content. So yours would be a gray area where we look at your application and then we sort of think out, how is this helping Hawaii? Because our metrics are bringing sort of revenue, jobs, different things back to the state. So yours would kind of be a gray area depending on how you filled out the things. So we might want to have a conversation with you. We know Hawaii is not a mass manufacturing sort of place, we know that. But if in some way, by assisting you, stuff is gonna come back to Hawaii in some way, we'd be looking at that.
Can we have a meeting with you on that?
Yeah, or first thing in January, you should probably just go online. It'll be on the DBID website, but then also the SPO website, the procurement website for the state. You can sort of look at it, and then if one requests a meeting, we can do that. We have to be a little careful with the procurement people.
So when you say coming back to you in Hawaii, are you referring to us being able to hire more people to, or if it's just one technology and the principal becomes a
Does this lead to
millionaire?
research dollars for other projects you're working on currently in Hawaii with the follow-on stuff? You know, we'd be looking at all that.
What's part of the research of the application proposal? What is the-
Oh, we're asking basically, have you ever sold stuff in foreign markets? Which ones? A lot of kind of tombstone data, and really what you've done in terms of developing your export plan. And then you attach a two-pager where you sort of write about, like if I say I want to go into some widget trade show in Seoul, we probably would find out, okay, I've never heard of this trade. We'd probably ask somebody, maybe John Holman from, you know, the commercial service, can you find out about this show or ask somebody in Seoul about it? Because we want to make sure that it's matched up with what you say you were doing as a company. And maybe there might be other suggestions we'd come back with.
Fish, unprocessed fish?
We could probably do stuff like that. We'd work with our ag counterparts on that and have them kind of review it as well. If it's a strict fresh food product of some sort, yeah. But we can certainly open to that if it's Hawaii.
How do you define technology-related projects?
You know, that's Linda.
That's a tough one. It depends, right? I mean, with technology today, it's in everything. So I think what Mark was saying, and I would probably echo this from our talk later, is our job is economic development. If you have a potential project, we want you to apply. We want you to talk to us and help us understand how this is good for the state. So I think we start there and then we kind of work on, is this technology, how does this help? That make sense?
And also, this program in particular, we have in mind sort of the more non-traditional companies. I mean, for instance, in the technology sector, there's such specialized conferences, trade shows. I mean, you could be doing software security. There's very specific software security kind of shows. There's really hundreds of different things that you can sort of do, and so we can't put like a Hawaii pavilion and find 20 Hawaii companies just doing very specific security kind of stuff. So this is a way that we really want to help individual companies. And so if you were, let's say, launching a new technology, you talked before about something's already being manufactured in China. Well, do you have any follow-on products or technologies that is just going into a market? That could be an interesting application as well that we might want to support, because you're right at the point of trying to develop those markets. Any other questions? I'll give I have my card here too, so I'm happy to pass those out. So if anybody has any questions, give me a call.
There's also a Puma show, and that's geared towards equipment and processing.
But food equipment, oh yeah, no, yeah. That could be any show. And what we're really looking at is you as a company, what do you need to be successful and to go into more markets? Because our deliverables are, we have more Hawaii companies that are doing business outside the state, selling stuff outside the state. We have more revenue coming in from global places, and you as a company are growing because you've been able to go into these new markets. That's sort of our metric. We feel like we'd be successful if that's what's happening. And it should be very individualized to you. That's what this program is. That's the key of this. It is, so think about It's hard to try to go into a certain market. Why am I going into that market, and what's the best vehicle to get into that market? Okay.
Oh, I think there was another question.
Oh, we got another question.
You probably answered this question, I apologize for being late. It says here, travel for multiple buyer meetings, but I was curious, are we, if we wanted to attend multiple trade shows, are we able to do that?
You could try to do some back-to-back ones. Again, on any sort of one trip, we're saying we can pay up to $6,000. So, but if you wanted to go from one location to another location, we can put the airfare in there.
But for example, we know that there are 2 major events nationally that we should be going to. And are we able to go to at least those 2?
Oh, they at different times?
Yes.
Like you come back to Hawaii?
Yes.
Right. As 3 or 4 days ago, we said, no, we only have enough money, you get one trip, that's it, for the year. But now we realize we were trying to make it even easier because we realized we're not going to get this extension from the SBA. So if you had a trade show you actually had to be at in March and then another one in June, you just do 2 applications. And in each one of those, we could go up to $6,000. You do a 25% cost match. Good, we'll take a look at it we hope to have everything up in January. Just get the final sort of check off from our procurement people, so we're doing things right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.